I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnn. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of the Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck. It's called Food Truck 101, and I'm the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today, I'm going to be talking about a post that was made on our Facebook group that starts with, why do customers think food truck meals should be cheaper than restaurant? And it was a long dissertation. So let's talk about exactly what was said. So the question again was, why do customers think food truck meals should be cheaper than a restaurant? And then it goes on to say a message to our valued customers. Well, first of all, we have guests. We are in hospitality industry. We are not a grocery store with customers. We have guests. Once you start to think about your patrons as guests, somebody you've invited, somebody you want to impress, your attitude towards them changes. When you call them generically customers, we don't care. You see that every day because you are a customer to a whole bunch of other businesses. So a message to our valued customers. Have you ever wondered why food truck menus are often priced higher than traditional restaurant menus? The truth is, a food truck is not just a mobile restaurant. It's a unique experience with its own set of challenges and costs. Here is why food truck prices need to be higher. Well, let's break that apart. First of all, a food truck is a mobile restaurant. A restaurant, by definition, is a place where people go to buy food. Guess what? Food trucks sell food for people to buy. So it is a restaurant on wheels. It's mobile. It is exactly what they say it's not. It's not just a mobile restaurant. It is exactly that. It is a movable restaurant. A restaurant, again, being a place where people go to buy food to consume. And if you're thinking, well, grocery stores where people go to buy food, that's not quite true. People go to a grocery store to buy food to cook, then they consume it. So a restaurant prepares ready-to-eat meals. Food truck prepares ready-to-eat meals. It's a restaurant. So the post goes on to say, high operating costs. Food trucks work with smaller quantities of ingredients, which means we don't get bulk discounts like large restaurants do. This increases our cost per meal. Well, guess what? In the United States, there are over 140-some thousand single location restaurants, which means they work off of one menu and they don't share their food with anybody else. Half the restaurants in the United States, and there's supposedly 750,000 restaurants in the United States, half of them are chains, being Red Lobster, Olive Garden, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. They do get bulk discounts because they are able to buy tons worth of food, but that's only half the restaurants in the U.S. The other half, the majority of them are 1 and 2 and 3 locations. And again, there's 140-some thousand that are a single location. So they're just like a food truck. They only buy enough food for themselves. They don't get the opportunity for bulk discounts. But let's talk about those bulk discounts, because I've been an operator where I have the opportunity to get quote unquote bulk discounts. Here's the thing. Those bulk discounts are only a couple of dollars per case. And then when you divide that out by the portions you get out of a case, you're not saving a whole bunch of money. Now you do save money, and that's a good thing. And where it becomes impactful is when you have 30 or 40 or 50 restaurants all saving a little bit per portion, then it becomes a big deal. But it doesn't translate into a whole bunch of savings at the guest level. It translates into a whole bunch of savings because you have multiple units. So it doesn't impact it as much as you would think. But let's just say that it does. $2 to $3 per case is not a big savings. It's not going to divide out on your menu to the point where it's going to be a huge noticeable difference. It may be 25 cents. It may be 50 cents. Trust me, if your guests are worried about 50 cents, you're not going to be open very long anyway. Number 2 on their list of why their menu must be higher than a restaurant. Maintenance and transportation. A food truck requires regular maintenance, fuel, insurance, and specialized equipment like generators and mobile refrigerators, costs that stationary restaurants don't face. Well, that's just completely a falsehood. Restaurants have regular maintenance, from their air conditioner that's up on the roof all the way down to every little piece of equipment that's inside that restaurant has maintenance, as does the building itself, as does the landscape, as does anything associated with that piece of property. So there's maintenance. Restaurants don't have gasoline fuel, that's true, but they do have electric, gas, they do have water and sewage and trash pickup, so they have expenses that usually are rolled into the commissary expense for a food truck. We don't have generators if you run a restaurant, that's true, but we do pay for electricity 24/7. So even when we are closed and not a piece of equipment's on, there's still heating that's running, there's still air conditioning that's running, there's still refrigeration that's running all night long. And it's still got to be paid for. There's no such thing as a mobile refrigerator. Any equipment that's used in a food truck most likely would have been used in a restaurant as well. So there's no difference in the refrigeration. The only difference is because of the way that food truck owners are, and that being a cheapskate, is they bought the low-end refrigeration that's going to not hold up anyway. And when they put it on a mobile unit, it's going to vibrate and have all those other issues that are going to create problems. So yes, it does have higher maintenance, but restaurants face higher maintenance. Just look at the shake machines at McDonald's. Look at the ice cream machines. How often are they down? Well, guess what? If they're down, somebody's got to come fix the thing. That's maintenance. So there are trade-offs at best. And most likely the restaurant has more maintenance requirements because they have what? More equipment. Licenses and fees. Operating a food truck requires multiple licenses and permits, which can vary by city and location. Additionally, securing a good spot to serve often comes with a high price. Okay, well, guess what? You chose to be a food truck. That means you're going to, if you want to be the most successful, move from area to area. And that means there'll be multiple licenses. But you know what? Burger King has multiple licenses. They don't move, but they'll have different restaurants with licenses in many cities because they want to be where the guests are, just like you want to be where the guests are. So yeah, multiple licenses is not a good excuse to have your menu be higher. And I do know of a number of food trucks that only have a single license. They very rarely move, or they move only within the city that they have a license, and they're quite successful. So that's not an excuse for your menu to be higher. It's certainly not an acceptable excuse. Now let's talk about securing a good spot to serve often comes with a high price. Have you priced real estate? Have you priced trying to lease a restaurant? Those things start out quite expensive. So trying to compare your parking spot to securing the land or securing a lease for a restaurant means you don't understand the restaurant industry. So leases and fees, not a reason to have a higher price. Quality food and specialization. Food trucks often focus on offering unique, high quality, and freshly made meals. This level of specialization and quality comes at a price, but it ensures you're getting something special. Well, let's talk about that. How many restaurants do you know that are a single owner restaurant? They only have one location and they focus on, let's say, farm to table. That would be as high quality and as fresh as you could possibly get. And that's a level of specialization, which means that food trucks really aren't unique. That food trucks are, at best, just like a restaurant. The difference is they're on wheels. That level of specialization comes at a price. No, it doesn't. That level of specialization is the expectation that people have. You go to Burger King, you expect a certain type of burger and a certain flavor profile because of what Burger King is. You go to any one of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants, the same deal. You're looking at that level of specialization, which isn't different than a food truck. What food trucks are able to offer is not specialization, it's convenience. All right, number 5, it says seasonal and event-based businesses. Unlike restaurants, food trucks are highly dependent upon weather, seasons, and events, making income unpredictable. Pricing often, and I'm assuming they meant higher pricing, helps offset slow periods. Well, here's the deal. Every restaurant, every business in the world is seasonal. You can see it if they track their sales. Why do you think there's Black Friday specials? That's to bump up the sales, to get them in the black ink for the last month of the year. Not because, oh, hey, it's Christmas and we want to be nice and give you stuff at a discount. It's no, we want to sell a bunch of stuff to hopefully get our business on the profitable side by the end of the year, which means that all the rest of the year they've not had good sales. at a restaurant in Destin, Florida. That particular restaurant, we would do $57,000 a week, and this was in the mid-90s. $57,000 a week in the mid-90s. In July, come October, we were down to $19,000. And that was year after year after year. So you had to have about 100 employees in July, only to have to let most of them go for September, October, November, and December because it's going to be daggone slow. And every restaurant that I ran, and I did Burger King, Wendy's, had a Quiznos, all in Destin, Florida. All of those showed the exact same pattern. The numbers were different, but July was 3 times busier than the fall. Hard to staff. But once you've done it a handful of times, you know what's going to happen. Every business has seasonality. Even restaurants are impacted by weather. If it rains and it rains heavily, guess what happens? People don't get out of the car and walk into the dining room. They go to the drive-thru. But if your drive-thru doesn't have the correct awnings to make it easy on people, they won't go to the drive-thru either. So yes, on rainy days, it slows down. On snow days, it slows down. Income is only unpredictable if you don't actually track it. Patterns start to reveal themselves when you take good notes and you pay attention. Pricing to offset slow periods just means I don't want to go to you. If you can't market better to increase those slow times, probably not going to be a good place for me to go eat. Because if you don't know how to market yourself, then you probably aren't real good at cooking either. The point of this is to not get wrapped up in, because we're mobile, we can charge higher prices. It doesn't work that way. Most food trucks that I've seen and I've worked with that charge a higher price for a comparable product with a restaurant, get ready, they don't know what their costs are. They are just looking at their profitability going, well, I spent $2,000 last week in food and I didn't make any money, so I need to charge more on my menu this week. And they move the prices up. And they continue to either move the prices up until they're profitable or they put themselves out of business. Or worse, they don't look at their profitability and just go out of business because they're not making any money and they're just frustrated. So the bottom line of this podcast, should a food truck be more expensive than a restaurant? No, it shouldn't. Food is food. You are paying a very similar price. I was a Quiznos franchisee, and I've used this example in the past. We were required to buy our food through distributors that have been approved by Quiznos. And this became a problem because we could go to Sam's Club and get the exact, and I mean exact same product, exact, cheaper. So what did we do? Every product we could get at Sam's Club that met the specs that Quiznos required and was the identical product, we would get at Sam's Club because it was cheaper. Do you want to continue the argument that food trucks should be more expensive? They can go to Sam's Club and get stuff cheaper than some restaurants can get it because they're legally bound to buy through their distributor system that's set up. One of the ways that the franchisor makes money on the franchisees beyond royalties and marketing is requiring them to buy through their distributor system where they get rebate based on the volume. The rebates go to the franchisor, not the franchisee. So the franchisee is the one that's stuck there having to deal with the pricing structure, and they can't move the prices up or down because it goes against their franchise agreement for the area that they're in. But a food truck can beat their prices because they can get less expensive food and sell the exact same product. And they can do it more cheaply because they don't have the labor involved. They don't have all the other expenses that owning or leasing a restaurant have. Bottom line is your prices should not be higher just because you're a food truck. First step in learning to price your menu is knowing how much the stuff costs you to begin with. So if you are not sure what your pricing should be, you might want to take one of the classes I'm giving. I'm giving a class tonight, as a matter of fact. Learn how to price your menu. There'll be a link in the description if you're interested. But don't just automatically think because you're a food truck, you're allowed to be more expensive. Because the only thing that's going to do is ensure that you won't be open in the future.